Do this, I guess what we'll do is we'll start on one side of the table and go to the other. Whoever makes it, come up and explain how they did it, what was involved, maybe whatever they want to say about it. I guess we'll have a vote. We have tickets.
And we do have 3 gift cards, $25 gift cards from Peachtree that we'll have for the 3 top vote getters. And
I went to school in Vicenza, Italy for 3 years, so I was subject to the Roman, history and everything like that. And I've been reading books lately about Rome, and of course we all saw the movie Gladiator and everything like that. And this is a Rudis, okay? It was designed to be a Rudis, okay? And the Rudis was a wooden sword given to a gladiator who had earned favor in the eyes of the Caesar, and was granted his freedom. Because most gladiators were slaves. Okay, there were some freemen, but the majority were slaves. And if you earned your freedom, you were given the wooden sword. Okay, and that was your mark of freedom. I had wanted to put a burn in in Latin the saying "Hail Caesar, we who are about to die salute you." But this wood is so doggone soft, I mean, you can basically push on it and get a dent in it, that I just said, I didn't want to spend the time. I'd like to go back and do one out of another piece of wood that was much more sturdy and actually go ahead and burn that in, or maybe stencil it in or something like that. I think it's kind of cool, but the problem, I thought about it, a class, and I don't know if you've ever done it or not, but I tried to use, first I tried to use a black paste wax to do the pommel and the guard, and of course that didn't work out very well. And then I went back and I thought I found some old cherry stain, and that worked even less well because it bled like crazy. I don't know if you can see it right here. It bled. I put painter's tape on and everything like that, trying to stop the bleeding. And of course, it's in the app, went right underneath it and bled right through. So. And then I thought, well, what the heck? I'll put some more of that black polish on there, and I made it worse. But anyway, this is my entry. It was just a kind of a cool thing to do,
I completely forgot about the 2x4 contest until I was at Rob's shop on Tuesday. Yeah, and he asked me, he said, "You got something to put in a 2x4 contest?" I said, "Oh yeah, that's right." So I went home and I started thinking about something to make, and I know I didn't have much time to, really get involved. So I just started thinking, and last year I made something. I had turned some ornaments on my lathe, and my wife really kind of liked it because she hangs it on the Christmas tree. So, and she's always talked about she decorates the house a lot. So I happened to think about, well, I take a 2x4 and and you'll see what I did with it. I took the nose, I turned nose on the lathe, and the rest of the eyes and the mouth are just dowel rods, just cut real thin. And I didn't have any stocking caps except my Falcons and my Georgia. That's what they're wearing. So it's very, it's very simple. It's just an 8-foot 2x4.
Well, time to start getting ready for Christmas. I've already watched a bunch of Christmas movies.
So anyway,
2x4.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Carol Hassel. I suspect that this ought to be in a student competition rather than going up against all these. This is the first bowl I've ever turned on my lathe, and it's the first time I've ever set my lathe up to do that and put a chuck on it and gotten the chuck back off, and actually I got the chuck stuck on it, and that slowed me down a little bit until I figured out how to get the chuck back off it. But I have turned a couple of bowls before, but they've always been within the context of classes and workshops. So I had never done one on my own, and I had never done one entirely on my own, and I had never done one on my lathe, which is a mini lathe. So that, and there's a couple of little challenges with that. There's not a lot of room to work, for instance. So, and I put 1 coat of tung oil on this. There's a kind of tung oil that I think is really nice that I like, and so there's 1 coat of tung oil on it. And also, I know that most people cut off the tenon on the bottom, and I don't really understand that because I love footed bowls. So although I'll get to the point where I'll be competent at removing the tenon, I actually like footed bowls. And I was thinking about that this morning before I came, and I was looking at a bowl that I had bought that was turned by an accomplished wood turner, and it had a foot on it. It's the only one I've ever seen actually that has the foot on it, so that it's raised a little bit, and you get almost a shadow effect under that. So anyway, that's
make your tenon longer, and then cut the tenon off and leave the foot.
Leave a little bit, yeah. But that actually is the tenon right there.
Yeah, just make a longer tenon.
Yeah, which I could do. Although, in order to do this, I was actually following at the instructions from a project that was done by American Association of Woodworkers, their fundamentals projects. I followed one of their projects step by step, and so I was just doing what they had indicated. So, and I also tried to do hand carving, to do a bowl, actually more like a tray, a little tiny tray, be like a spoon rest. Doing it hand carving, and man, that is really tough. I did not try to bring that one in. That was pretty
This
rugged.
right here is proof in the pudding, okay? You started off with a big piece of wood and just came after you finish it,
No, I will say, yeah, I've got.
Burning is so wasteful.
I will say, I've got most of the 2x4 left. In fact, I actually had another blank cut out, but I got completely ran out of time.
Do a set,
Yeah, exactly. So I may keep on going.
I'm Gary Dean, and I cheated. The idea of this is it's a folding stool kind of thing. I'm sure you've seen these before. But actually, this is a deck stool. And where I cheated is if you go to try to make a project like this and you get a 2x4, like you said, the knots are just totally outrageous. Now every piece of this can come out of a 2x4 and you'll have wood left over. But if you want to try to get clear lumber, best thing to do is to move on down the aisle to the 2x10s and then take your 2x10, because you'll find the 2x10s are a lot more clear. Now, you won't find any perfect ones, but they're a lot more clear than the 2x4s are. And so basically you just take it, cut the lengths, then I use 3/4 as my standard thickness. And being that this is going to be on a deck, there's not a whole lot of sanding or any of that kind of thing. I did round the edges off with a router to some degree, but and stained it with stain. But I have these on my deck, and they are indispensable for setting beer on, you know, or other things too. But these are plants, good, but made out of pressure treated wood, and it's good. It's a good project.
Looks good.
Thank you.
That'd be a good class.
And the results are, third place is,
Numero uno.
all right.
But I think Rod must have voted twice,
Hey, it worked.
because there's 2 in black.
This was obviously a segmented canister, whatever you want to call it. It is all from a 2x4. And when years ago we did a part on the wood where we baked it to turn it dark. And that's what I did. I cut all the segments to the right size segments that I had on there, put them in the oven, and I cooked them at 400 degrees for a little more than an hour. And I looked at it after like 40 minutes and it ain't turning very dark. And then I did it for longer, and I don't know what time. I was like an hour, hour and a half, and I got over there, and it didn't look all that dark at that time. I just left them in the oven, and I turned it off, and it got a little darker during the time afterward. This is something Hans had done. So anyway, we put it on there. The one thing I didn't think about it, when you're making a segmented part on it, you cut every segment the same, you fit together your ring, it looks really good. but when you darken the wood, you shrink the wood. So I got down there and I put them all in there instead of these things fitting together at the end, because you do, I glue 2 segments together, a light and dark, and I had the whole stack of them. Then I put the 2 with the other 2, so you have half a circle, and then you take these half a circles and you 2 of those put together, that makes a ring. Well, they touch on outside points, and then the inside were like this, you know. So I took them together, put them on the sander, go fed them up, and it may not be the best alignment, but it worked. So anyway, it's 2x4. Now the bottom is mahogany. My 2x4 I had a leftover was too thin, and even at that, this thing broke out when I was doing it. And I thought it looked really good with the flowers, because the inside looks like crap. Okay, next question.
Rob, on that one thing, to solve the problem of the not fitting, what you do is you put all your pieces in the oven, okay? Put the ones you want dark and the ones you want light, and put them all in the oven for about 20 minutes. And what that does is that takes the moisture out of the light ones that you want, and then everything will remain the same size. Because I do my fitted puzzles that way,
yeah.
And it's still, and they would be a major problem if they didn't fit together.
I thought it was funny because the part, when you have a segment, you're going to end up with something like this. On this one, they're 22.5 degrees on the side, and by the time you get done, 8 of them together makes your circle. Okay, it shrunk from here to here, not from here to here. Lengthwise, it was exactly the same, but being it shrunk inside of here, then when the other one, because when you put the one to the next, it would end up like this. You know, so anyway, it worked.
Yeah, but if you put them all in the oven and then take out the ones you want light, then they stay fairly decent.
Well, I don't think I'll ever make another one of these, because this was not going to be a family heirloom.
How deep does the coloring penetrate, Hans?
Well,
It's all the way through.
all the way through.
All the way through?
Yeah.
But the question is, and I wonder about this, and I talked to Rob about this, when you take that bowl out and you put it together again, now all the ambient temperature and the water in the room will go back into that wood, okay? Okay, and don't you have cracking issues?
But it's going to go into all. It's going to go into all the pieces.
It'll go into it all evenly, though. Yeah, except for those are drier than the other ones, so it might make a difference there.
Yeah, well, that's why Hans's idea would be good, because then you dry them all the same. And they
yeah. Well, like I said, it wasn't going to be an heirloom, so I didn't care that much.
It's just a different way. It's just a different way of gardening wood.
Sometimes I feel bad when I make something like this, because I made a clock that was all turned on the bottom, different layers, and spindles going up, and a clock in the front that looks fantastic. And if I made that out of mahogany or something, it'd be great. But it's 2x4, so it actually still looks good.
Second place is
Number 3. So number 3, Joe?
Okay. Joe Metzger. I guess this proves that you can make a bowl out of a 2x4. Also, I proved to myself when you have a deadline, give yourself more time. Because I really didn't get to finish it as nicely as I would have. And also, I just went in and grabbed a 2x4 out of Home Depot's pile. Be more selective. But anyway, it's polyurethane, and it's a bowl.
Actually, what's the finish on it?
Yeah.
Looks good.
Thank you.
What's the finish on it?
You really could use another coat of polyurethane on it. The way I do my polyurethane is I put it on, I see what it looks like. If it isn't quite what I wanted, I sand it and do another coat. Well, this could use one more coat, but it came out pretty nice.
It is.
Are you brushing or spraying or what?
Okay. Last time I was here, I had a thing for show and tell. They asked me. I slow my lathe down to 1 revolution per second. And then I use a foam brush. I put it on with a foam brush, and then I let it turn until it sets up. And the rotation kind of, I think, slows down the tendency to get runs in it. If you don't keep it turning, it gets runs every time. So
First place
First
is
place,
Alix.
number
number 6.
Yeah. Good job.
Alix Valcin. So last time I did the 2x4, I entered a folding snack table. My snack table. And I mentioned about, in the presentation I mentioned about that I had a couple of other projects like a footstool and also a folding laptop tray. So I could actually use my laptop in the bed. And also this serves as a snack table also. So I used a bandsaw, 2x4, and started ripping it to 1/2-inch pieces, glued up the main table part. And whatever I had remaining, I did the sides, the apron, and the legs also. So everything is 1/2-inch. And I found out that I quickly ran out of wood, so I started piecing stuff together because actually, you know, you mentioned about the wood having imperfections and stuff like that. So I had knots in the wood, so I was taking out that, and all of a sudden, before I knew it, I was left with just the minimum amount of items. So I have one knot in here that I was trying to save, and then when I went to plane it, it actually popped out, and I couldn't find it, so I was hoping to glue it back in there. So it's like part of the characteristics of this table. So this thing, it folds. Actually, so this part. So this part, actually, I'll just open it up. So in here I put the the brass part that actually sits in each of these grooves, and I could put it at different heights. And it folds all the way down, flush, and if I need to put it up to that maximum height, I just glued that block in there and placed it. I used the hinges that's in here. These are flush-mounted hinges, so I didn't need to, or no mortise hinges, so it doesn't need to be routed out just a little bit or whatever. And when you want to put it away, the legs fold and collapses. That's away nice.
Looks light, too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's so thin. Yeah, I wasted most of the wood trying to plane it down to size. So here, so this part obviously can move. This part is secured in here, so I had to brace it a little bit. So I put like a block in here. So this part is fine. The part that moves is okay because it's on the hinge. But this part was kind of flexing a little bit in the middle, so I braced it with this piece of wood and put blocks in here. Yeah, so like Joe mentioned about starting early, I should have, I could probably put a finish on it and stuff like that, but I keep it, yeah. So I'll probably put polyurethane on the top of it so that it doesn't get water damage. Not that. Awesome. Okay.